Hello everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I am Molly and I do book content here on the YouTubes. And today I am doing a tag that is to do with the Prairie Trail readathon that Anne from In Search of Wonder is doing with her co-host Alma from Alma's Book Journey. I'll be tagging them both down below. They have both done this tag. It's an original tag created by Anne. And yeah, I thought I would join in because obviously anyone can. They've tagged people, but it's, you know, open to anyone. So I thought I would also join in because I'm doing the readathon as well, so it makes sense. I apologise about the lighting. It looks weird. I'm on the front facing camera so I can see myself. And I look very washed out a little bit, and I think it's because of the sun. The sun is coming in right now. It's like late afternoon sort of time, so it's when I always get the sun. So if it looks a bit washed out, there's nothing really I can really do about that, and I apologise. But I think you can see me well enough, so the important stuff is all good. So yeah, I'm going to do the Prairie Trail Tag. I'll get there. And yeah, there's basically 10 questions and then an 11 sort of tag or thing where you choose your ending and you tag specific types of booktubers, which I'll talk about when we get there. And yes, I'm just going to get on with it because it's a decent amount of questions. And as usual, I talk a lot, so let's just, you know, I might as well not waste much time. So yes, let's get this started. So the first question / prompt is stocking up and starting off. And the question is, if you have to go on a trip today or tomorrow, what 2 books are you taking with you? And put in brackets your current read or / next read. So my current read is, well, technically, okay, this is where it gets complicated because I'm technically reading about 5 books. I'm currently reading 6 if you want to count the Grimm Brothers collection, but certainly 5 separate books. So yeah, the physical fiction that I'm reading is this. I've taken the dust jacket off, but it's My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney. This is my current read, so obviously I take this with me. Now, what is the second book, you ask? I don't know. So here's what I'm going to say. Obviously, I don't know if this counts as in the past, so like I can't bring a Kindle or my phone. I don't know. But I am currently listening to The Scarlet Thread by Francine Rivers. And I'm also reading an ebook, again, based in that sort of Westward Expansion, Old West, Prairie Trail times, and that is The Children's Blizzard by Melanie Benjamin, and that's on my Kindle. So I have like all of those books, and obviously I don't know what to choose. And because at the moment I'm kind of doing a mood readathon, even though I do technically have a TBR, I'm kind of mood reading within it / I don't know my next read because I'm doing like a spinner wheel for the Prairie Trail readathon cards instead of printing them out because I can't print them out at the moment. So to still keep it kind of random, like when you're picking out a card in the pile of cards, I'm kind of doing like the spinner wheel version of that. So I don't really know what my next read would be. And so I can't really say about my next read. But I can certainly say that I'm currently I'll probably stick with The Scarlet Thread because even though I'm technically reading it, it's a fiction read. To be fair, The Children's Blizzard is also fiction, but inspired by real events. So I haven't read the author's note or the historical note yet. So I don't know if any of the characters are based on real people, but certainly the situation and event that happens is real. Well, was real. So I'm just going to say those for my books that I'm taking with me. Obviously, none of those are including the Bible. That will always just be with me. I'd be taking it anyway. But in terms of 2 fiction books that I'm currently reading, those are what I would bring. So sorry for not really answering the question properly, but there we go. It's hard to know when I don't actually know what my current read will be. Question 2. Injury and disease. What is a health or wellness / nutrition non-fiction that has been most helpful or informative for you? So I don't really read that much of those things. If anything, it's usually I'm looking online for specific things or whatever. But there was a book, and it's going to be really unhelpful because I don't know the title. I don't know the author. And I got rid of it, so I don't have it. Probably over 10 years ago now, I had a book about homeopathic methods of kind of getting your period back and having regular periods, specifically for people with PCOS, I think, polycystic ovary syndrome, which is what I have. I don't know if it focused only on people with that or just in general people who don't have regular periods. I can't remember. But basically, I didn't get any help from the doctors with any of that. And in the end, I decided to have a look around and find out on my own, And so basically, I bought this book. I can't remember what it's called. It was about periods specifically. And that was really helpful. It gave me advice on things like supplements, as well as obviously the obvious things like, your diet and stuff like that. But there were supplements specifically that were supposed to be really helpful. And so I didn't finish the book either, which is funny in itself, but it did actually help. I do have regular periods now. I mean, it took a lot of years. I will say that. It took years of all of that, but eventually it did happen, and that's really good. So I would say that book was the most helpful and informative for me. And that would be a part of the health and wellness sort of topic, I guess. But yeah, I haven't really read much of that sort of non-fiction, so that's the only one I can really tell you. And I'm sorry I can't be more helpful by giving you the title or even at least the author. I do apologise. But I will say that book. Question 3. Wagon Repair. What is a book that you own that is in poor condition or has been repaired, but you keep it for sentimental reasons or just other reasons? And I have one book. It's not been repaired, and it's not the worst condition. There will be worse books that are in worse condition than this. Not that I necessarily own, just in general. But that is this book that I got from a charity shop. It's quite expensive for a book, but it's, as you can tell, it's a sort of an old book. I don't remember. I don't think it actually said when this was published either, which was really interesting. And yeah, this book is called Alice or the Mysteries. And this is by the Right Honourable Lord Lytton. And yeah, it's, I don't know when it's set, but, or when it was published. There's literally nothing. I mean, there is probably what I assume publisher there. And this is 1889 there, but I don't know whether that's just when that particular publisher or whoever was first, created, or whether that's when this book was published. I could not tell you. But yeah, it's not in the best condition. I mean, the back paper to cover the spine is coming off in multiple places. The pages aren't necessarily sticking, in the book. I mean, they're in the book enough, most of them, but you do have to be careful. I have read this, but I wouldn't read it again, but I want to keep it. And not because it's particularly sentimental. I mean, it was a really good book. I enjoyed it. It's your typical sort of romance fiction sort of book from that sort of era. Like, I don't know when, maybe Regency or Victorian, something like that. And yeah, there's nothing special about it. I found it in a charity shop and I just like the look of old books. I always feel like I'm in like a proper library. I don't have that many of them because I don't have the space, so I can't really buy books like this. But I would say this, so it's not really sentimental per se, but I do want to keep it because I like that it's old looking. So yeah, that is that book. The next question is hunting, and that is, what is an author or genre or titles that you specifically look for when you're browsing used books? And that could be used books in like second-hand bookstores, charity shops or thrift stores, little free libraries, places like that. And I don't necessarily specifically look for anyone in particular, especially because places like that aren't like your typical bookstores like Waterstones or Barnes & Noble, where you can use, if you know an author, they're probably in there, even if it's only one or two of their books. So there's less reliability on what you will find, stuff like that. But what I do always look for is if there is any Christian fiction authors that I recognise. Obviously, if I can't recognise them, then obviously I won't know if they're in my charity shops or not. We don't really get them, but to be fair, I did get one, and actually it's the book that I showed you earlier by Francine Rivers, The Scarlet Thread. This I did actually get from a charity shop. There it is, which is really unusual. You don't find Christian fiction in charity shops. You don't find Amish fiction either, although I did find some books once, and I had a look at them. It wasn't that many, maybe like 2 or 3. And I looked at the blurbs because I considered buying them anyway, but I was like, if I'm not actually that interested in the story, then there's no point in me buying them, having them take up space and probably end up back in that same charity shop. So I didn't buy them, but that was once, and then Francine Rivers was once. And so yeah, Christian fiction in general isn't something I usually find in charity shops. Non-fiction, yeah, I'm more likely to, depending on the charity shop, the amount varies. If it's a big second-hand bookstore type of charity shop, then I'm more likely to find some. If it's just a small section of books in a charity shop that sells clothes and bric-a-brac, toys, stuff like that, then there's usually less books. It just depends. So yeah, I usually look out for them, especially Francine Rivers, because, but in general, that wouldn't just be in charity shops, but I would like to have all of her books, because her writing is just incredible. Once I tried one of her books, which was And So Far Blue, that was my first book by her. Once I read that book, I was favourite for life, basically. Her books are just amazing. The faith in her books are amazing. It's just, yeah, 10 out of 10. So yeah, otherwise I don't specifically usually look for anything in particular, because I know I can't reliably find them. So yeah, that's about it. The next question is cooking over a campfire. What is your favourite cookbook / website / blog, etc., that sort of thing? And I don't really look at cookbooks. I don't really cook, basically. I know how to cook a few pretty basic things, different types of pasta, stuff like that. So I can definitely cook well enough where people will like it enough to eat it and not get ill or die. But I'm not really a cook in other ways, like looking at cookbooks, stuff like that. So I don't actually have anything. I still do. I have a book by a a YouTuber called Zoella, or Zoe Sugg, a British YouTuber here in England, and she, quite a few years ago now, she did like a it wasn't just a cookbook, it was like a lifestyle cookbook, hosting type of non-fiction, which included some recipes for different types of food, you know, like main meals, starters, desserts, stuff like that, snacks. And I did do one of the recipes in that book, and I really liked it. It was I can't remember what it was, but it was like a tomato and ginger soup. And you could also do like a toasty or like grilled cheese sort of sandwich if you wanted. I mean, obviously that's optional, but that was also a part of the recipe. And I tried that once, and that was really nice. Although personally it could have done with more ginger, but stuff like that, that's more a personal thing. So I really like that. So that's the only thing I could think of, but that's like one specific recipe, because I didn't do any of the other things or any of the other food meals or anything. So that's the nearest, and I don't remember what that book is called either. I do have it, but I don't really use it, so that's why I'm not bringing it up. I did think about it, and I was like, well, I don't really use it. I did that soup once, didn't do it again. Not because it was bad. I can't always cook, and so yeah. So that's why. I'm gonna have a drink. I haven't had much water today, so I've got some in here. Question 7 is grief and loss, and that is to and that question is, what are the books that you are most loath to part with if you were forced to downsize? And so the obvious one is my Bible. I would never, and that's a few of them. This one especially because it's my dad's Bible. I decided to take this when he passed away because I gave it to him for Christmas, and I would like to keep it. It's not my preferred translation. This is King James. I do like the new King James more than the original King James. But I'm also not particularly a snob about it either, in terms of translations. So there are a couple of other Bibles I wouldn't want to get rid of either. One is my interleaved Bible that I use specifically for Bible notes, Bible journaling type of thing, and that's also New King James as well, but it's quite a big Bible. So there's that, and then there's also the Bible that Teresa from Creatively Faithful gave me. I wouldn't want to get rid of that. I think that one is NIV, New International, I think it's that one. It's one of those ones. So my Bibles, I definitely would not want to get rid of. Otherwise, it would be mostly my Christian fiction. There might be some I wouldn't be as bothered about getting rid of, but because Christian fiction here in the UK is not easily accessible without maybe Amazon, sometimes I've been able to do it through Waterstones online. I've never been able to find any in my local Waterstones. There might be other Waterstones that have them, but in my local one where I live, I say local, it's a sort, no, I don't know. Anyway, my local Waterstones, I've never seen it in person, any Christian fiction. Non-fiction, obviously, but yeah, I was able to get one book online through Waterstones that is Christian fiction, and I have seen some through that, but not physically in person. So it's not that easy to get hold of. I normally get my Christian fiction through Amazon, apart from, the once in a blue moon where I find something I like at a charity shop, which has only happened once in terms of what I've actually bought. Obviously there was that Amish fiction that I mentioned, but yeah. So I would say all of my Christian fiction really, but especially Francine Rivers. She is my most favourite Christian fiction author. There's others who are my favourites, but if I had to pick a specific author, probably Francine Rivers, but also just the other ones that I've read so far as well as the ones I haven't read. I wouldn't want to part with them. So yeah, in terms of fiction, I would say my Christian fiction. there'll be others that aren't Christian fiction that I wouldn't want to be parting with either. But I think I would be more likely to be able to part with them because they're not Christian fiction. So they're not going to be very edifying for me. They won't be as relatable in a lot of ways in terms of the faith aspects in the books. I mean, obviously they do vary in that respect, but just as a general thing. So I would probably say Christian fiction in general, I wouldn't want to part with them because it's just a novelty for me, and it's just something, it's different from secular. I mean, all of us who are Christian who read both or just Christian fiction even as well will probably know what I'm trying to say, even though I don't know how to say it. It's just different, and I wouldn't want to part with that type of fiction, with it being Christian fiction, even more than any of the other books. So, yeah. Anyway. Question 8 is river crossing. And that is the question, what book always refreshes or encourages you, or a book you return to again and again? And I think we all know the answer. I'm going to say slightly spoilery because I've already shown it. So, and all of us here on Christian Booktube will probably say the same thing. Say it with me, guys. 1, 2, 3. The Bible. Oh, what a surprise. I know. But, I mean, it's true, isn't it? I mean, there's just so much in it. There's so many different ways you can be refreshed. It changes depending on what you're like day to day or what season you're in. And it's just something that I do reread, you know, or restudy, etc. Out of any of my books, this is probably the book I would or have reread the most. Not this specific book, but just the Bible, you know. So yeah, I've got to say that, haven't I? I mean, it's not surprising to any of us, is it? I mean, I'm sure we would all say that, wouldn't we, really? Or at least it goes without saying, even if we have other books that we would want to say as well. The Bible is the main one. Okay, the next one, question 9, is desert crossing. And that is, what is a dry and boring book that you couldn't wait to finish, but you still did? And, okay, it's not really dry and boring, but it sort of was at times. But not necessarily boring, just more dry and heavy going because it's a non-fiction. And I'm going to say, because I couldn't think of anything else, because usually I get rid of my books, and if it's that bad, I probably wouldn't continue it. And I couldn't think of any others, and this is one of the ones that I most recently struggled with, and that was How to Read a Book by Mortimer J. Adler and Charles Van Doren. This wasn't, as a whole, dry and boring. As you guys know, because I've recently talked about it in my wrap-up, I found it really interesting. I mean, I dog-eared pretty much every page, so I mean, that doesn't sound like something that I didn't enjoy, if you know what I mean. But there were times where it was kind of heavy going and dry and a struggle to get through, for me personally. So that's why I'm saying this book. I wouldn't necessarily say it was boring, and it was definitely worth the read. But yeah, I did struggle with it. So that's why I'm going to say this book, but it's not quite answering the question. So I do apologise. But it's the only one I can think of. So, yeah. Okay, the last question, question 10, is mountain crossing. And that is, what is a book that you've read that is very heavy? And that can be in the amount of pages, in the weight of the book, or the subject. And this book, well, it fits for both of them, to be honest. But I'm going to say this anyway. And it was the first book that I thought of because those of you who've read it will know exactly what I mean. And it does technically count for page count, but I'm mainly counting it for subject. And that is A Voice in the Wind by Francine Rivers. This is book 1 in the Mark of the Lion trilogy. Those of you who've read this book will know exactly what I mean by the subject being heavy, especially near the end. It was very much a sort of book that would give you a book hangover. It was very heavy going, wonderful book, lovely, brilliant book. The faith was amazing. But yeah, the subject matter is heavy, and it's the same with most of Francine Rivers' books. Her books do have heavy topics, or certainly serious topics that, you know, Christians do go through, or just people in general as well, including Christians. So yeah, that's why I picked A Voice in the Wind, because yeah, that subject matter is heavy, and it is a reasonable wage. I mean, I've had heavier books, mainly hardbacks, funnily enough, but yeah, A Voice in the Wind. I don't think anyone is surprised by that. Every time I've had this sort of question, I usually say A Voice in the Wind, and it's true. All of her books just make me sob, not even cry. Okay, not even cry, because that doesn't even hit the right spot. That's an understatement. I sob. When I read the last book 3, As Sure as the Dawn, I cried so much that my eyes were heavy for the rest of the day afterwards. And like I had been, well, because I had been crying, but like I had been crying like someone died in my life or something. You know, that sort of heavy crying where it feels like your eyes feel like they're red and swollen and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely heavy going. Okay, so this last one, 11, it's not a question though, but it says to choose your ending. And we have 2 options. So ending 1 is that you have died of dysentery. And what you would have to do for that one, if you picked it, is to hand over the reins to 3 Booktube channels who are new, or they're just new to you. Or the second option, option B, is that you have arrived in Willamette Valley, and that is to tag 3 Booktube besties that you hope to be your next door neighbours. And honestly, I want to do both, because there are definitely 3 Booktube channels that are new to me that I would love to tag, but also 3 Booktube besties that I also would like to tag. So I'm going to do both, because I can't just do one. So I apologise, Anne, if that's not the right thing to do. I know in the game you will be able to do both, but I'm a rebel like that. A mild rebel. I'm not really much of a rebel, but like, yeah. So I'm going to do both. So for You Have Died of Dysentery, I'm going to tag 3 Booktube channels who are new to me, and I'm actually going to pick 3 of my co-hosts from the End of Summer Jam Mood Readathon. So I'm going to pick Emily from To Read Her Heart, Chris from King Cat Chris, or Children's Lit for Chris. It's the same channel name, I think, on YouTube. And also Paola from, where is it? Oh yeah, Reading Darkness. So they are going to be my 3 picks for my new to me, I was going to say authors, they're new to me channels. And then for the surviving and getting to Willamette Valley, I'm going to tag 3 Booktube besties. And I'm going to tag Sarah from Austin in the Ozarks. She's changed her name. I wanted to say Sarah Collar, because that's her name, but it's Austin in the Ozarks. I'm going to pick Kelley from Bookish Kelley, and I'm going to pick, oh no, who have I said now? Tag Sarah, tag Kelley, and I'm going to tag Teresa from Creatively Faithful. And for those of you who have not mentioned, who I would also consider Booktube besties, don't worry, you are still my Booktube besties. You know, people like Lucy and everyone else I'm in group chats with. You know, there's like Lauren, there's all sorts of you. You all know who you are. You're all the people I'm in group chats with. You're all my besties, okay? And those of you who I'm not in group chats with, you are also my besties, because we're all family here, you know? We're all Christians, we're all siblings. You know, I'm going to stick to that. So, you know, just because I don't tag you as my Booktube bestie in the Prairie Trail Tag doesn't mean you're not. So don't worry, don't feel left out. I don't like that. I don't like people feeling left out. It makes me sad. And I had a pen somewhere, but it's fine. So that is everything. So those are all my answers to the questions. I'll be writing them all down below. So if you don't have a channel but you want to answer any of the questions, or even if you do but you don't want to do a video, but you still want to answer the questions, you can look at those in my description box and then answer them in the comments. You can do one or all of them, it doesn't matter. Is there one in particular I want to know? I forgot a question. I thought I did. I am so sorry. Oh no. Okay. I'm lost in the head. I'm not reading my questions properly. Okay. Well, and that's awkward. Okay. Sorry guys. I missed out question 6. Okay. And that was a fort or town restocking. What am I like? Anyway. So that question, for question 6, is where do you source most of your books? And my books are kind of vaguely evenly split. If you're wondering where I go the most, it's charity shops. So that would be where I get most of my books in terms of frequency, in terms of visiting places. But in general, it's kind of like a vaguely third, evenly split sort of split between Amazon, charity shops and bookshops. And when I say bookshops, I'm including full price bookshops as well as books where you can get bookshops where you can get books for cheaper, although which aren't necessarily secondhand as far as I know. So yes, I kind of have like a vaguely evenly split sort of between those 3. And then so yeah, they're obviously not including birthday books from like my uncle, although those are usually from Amazon. So yeah, if I'm buying them myself, it's usually vaguely evenly split between charity shops, Amazon and other in-person bookshops. So yeah, sorry about that guys, can't believe I missed that. Sounds about right, I'm good at that. So yeah. So yeah, that's my question. That's all of the questions. There isn't a particular question that I want you to answer, so if there's an answer you would prefer to write and answer in the comments, please do. I don't mind. And obviously, if I haven't tagged you but you want to do this and, you know, you do videos or whatever, then please do anyway. You're totally welcome to do that. So yes, that's about it really. Can't think of anything else. I answered all the questions eventually. Tagged everyone. Opened the tag out to everyone who I've not tagged as well. Mentioned you can answer in the comments. So yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think. If you have anything to say about any of the books or answers I've said, leave your answer or comment or whatever down below. And also answer the questions if you want, one or more of them, whichever you would like. And yes, thank you to Anne and Alma for this tag. It's really fun, I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I remembered the 6th question in the end. Yeah, so I will leave you all to it. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, Jesus loves you, I love you, and God bless. Mwah. Bye.